This is Things You Might Not Have Heard. I'm Jacob and Payne. I'm here with you today with 8 stories queued up from yesterday on Tuesday for this Wednesday to get you caught up on some of the news, covering information, politics, current events, and pop culture news that you deemed as conversational. You said these stories were ready to go, and we made them ready to go for you. And we're covering a lot of Donald Trump related stories as we are on day 15, 16, 800. I'm not even sure anymore. We also have some Joe Biden news. He's snuck in there, and Donald Trump actually took a jab at him. And scandal with Little House on the Prairie, part two, if you will. Those are 3 hits, plus Trump's a lot of hits. 8 total stories for the day that you deem conversational. We'll explain how the vetting process came about, how you got to tell us, hey, these stories are worthy to talk about after we run through all the headlines. So wait for that. But first, I want to remind you that our website, home is this, it's conversationproject.com. You can see all the things we do and get caught up to date with all the stuff, all the things with us here at the Conversation Project. And of course, you can email me with comments, concerns, all the comments, all the problems, all the complaints at the email address. Email address is the conversation inbox at gmail.com. I said it was Wednesday. I didn't say it was February the 5th, 2025. We are blazing through this storyline, and we've got 8 stories, no particular order. Just it's the narrative, the way it sounded best to talk about it on the show today. So let's get on to that one. Let's get into it. Let's make things happen. Let's be pithy, if you will. Starting off with the story that overtook everything overnight, as all the overnight shows were ready to kind of talk their talk and do their thing. And they already had planned things to talk about what would come about from the meeting with Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. It got bonkers pretty quickly once they came out to actually talk about it. Now, it was kind of a bonkers day of Donald Trump saying things all day long, because he did that. He signed some executive orders and said some things that were a bit on the questionable mark, that got some comments and concerns from other journalists. And then last evening, Donald Trump announced a plan for the United States to assume control over the Gaza Strip, which is aimed to redevelop the area and stabilize the Middle East. That's the plan. Essentially, we would take ownership, we'll get deeper into the story of that one, and build beautiful buildings for the world to live there. The proposal includes leveling existing structures, clearing exploited or unexploited ordnance, rebuilding Gaza into a prosperous region, potentially dubbed the Riviera of the Middle East. Those were all words coming out of Donald Trump's mouth last night. It suggested that the approximately 2 million Palestinians who actually live there go someplace else, maybe to Egypt, maybe to Jordan, to basically make this transformation happen. This is eminent domain on a global scale, if you will. This is running the Egyptians running the Hebrews out of Egypt all over again. This is placing Israel in the Middle East for the Holy Land going forward, only backwards. Benjamin Netanyahu had kind of sat there and kind of nodded along, thinking, where exactly are we going with this? Because this sort of brings to life his dream on a really kind of nightmare scale. The fact that, well, we get to kick the Palestinians out, but then we're going to build golf courses and resorts, I guess. And Egypt and Jordan aren't exactly down with this plan, because they're taking in plenty of other refugees, other places. Trump's like, oh, I'll talk to them. They'll take them. And Egypt and Jordan's like, we're not taking any of these folks. Maybe Saudi Arabia will take some of these folks. They're not happy about this either. Concerns about the actions of destabilizing the region. And of course, the 2 million people who actually live there who want to go home, not because, not going back because they have no place else to go, but it's their actual land. They want to be there. They have a right to be there. And political situations aside with Israel, they kind of want to go back to where they are, not have Israel kind of butt in the way and clean things up and build their own things. Maybe they want their own golf courses and their own hotels to make it a great world place to live, not Donald Trump's sort of interference. But this is product development, marketing, builder Donald Trump sort of thinking, hey, there's a good deal. We can take this thing, we can make this bigger, better, beautiful, and make it a showcase. And we might send troops to watch it and keep up with it and things like that. It's only been about 12 hours as I'm recording this to kind of sift this in. So only the nations on that side of the world have had a chance to really deal with it. Everyone else kind of listened to it, scratched their heads, went to sleep, and now we're talking about it now. This is big. If this is a potential real thing and not just a spitballing idea or an actual bargaining chip to do whatever, we'll see what's going on. Trust me, Hamas is like, yeah, you want us to rain fire down on you for real? Come on in here and try to put hotels in the Gaza Strip. In the meantime, good news for Donald Trump as things are happening in the way of getting his cabinet the way he wants it to get, if you will. We have confirmation and a brand new attorney general in Pam Bondi, and RFK Jr. and Gabbard, just Tulsi Gabbard nominations are advancing, and they'll probably get passed once again the full floor. All this stuff happened yesterday. 54 to 46 vote for Bondi. So that means basically all the Republicans were in on this one to make it work. In fact, they got a vote from Senator John Fetterman from the Democrats to add into what's going on. Fetterman sort of playing the the Tulsi Gabbard role. The Tulsi Gabbard role is showing being a Democrat, but not quite being a Democrat in this going forward. The former Florida Attorney General is now the U.S. Attorney General and can now get to work on Trump's agenda. In the meantime, moving forward with nominations for RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, the Senate is progressing with those nominations. The key positions will go for a vote soon and most likely be filled. Now, there were the question marks on Tulsi Gabbard, whether she's actually fit to be the head of the National Intelligence, whether she can actually manage all the secrets based on some of her past doings. And RFK Jr., Mr. Kennedy still has issues with, vaccines and other things that seem a little wacky, but vaccines are the main culprit that were basically what probably got him washed out of this one. He made a pass committee, so did Gabbard. So they're going to get a vote. Most likely it'll be 53-47. Maybe a couple Democrats will come over, maybe, but most likely these two also shall pass. Reagan Airport employees have been arrested for allegedly leaking the DC plane crash footage. 2 employees by Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority have been arrested after leaking surveillance footage of the fatal mid-air collision on Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport. Their names, Lemaine Mbagu, 21, of Rockville, Maryland, and Jonathan Savoy, 45, of Upper Marlboro, Maryland. They're charged with computer trespass, unauthorized access to copying records. Magbu was arrested on January 31st, so pretty quickly after this stuff happened. Released on his own recognizance. Savo was arrested on the 2nd of February and also released on a summons as well. The leaked footage reportedly obtained by CNN provides a clear view of the collision over the Potomac River that resulted in the deaths of all 67 individuals aboard an aircraft. One, a air flight, and other being a Black Hawk helicopter. 3 soldiers there as well. As of early this morning, they have confirmed the recovery of all 67 bodies from the collision. So that is something to hopefully feel good about, so we can get some peace and some resolution for those people, those families. The answers will still take time to get to. And of course, the unauthorized release of the sensitive footage has concerns on legal, ethical concerns. So many people are coming up with so many paranoid, and sometimes some of them are fairly logical. There's so many theories on what happened, especially from the early pictures of people who were thinking, it was planned, it was deliberate. They were trying to take those folks down. It was a plane full of a few lawyers and kid ice skaters. I don't understand why someone think that the military is trying to take it down with these 3 people being the martyrs that they could be. It's crazy, but it's what we do. We do know that such things are not good, leaking release of materials so that the investigations aren't get hampered. So they're going to investigate more deeper than that one. The National Transportation Safety Board is dealing deeper into this footage and other things, including black box information, to get to the bottom of this one. It will take weeks, if not months, to get a real answer for this because they go step by step, line by line, detail by detail. We'll see what's going to happen. And the MWAA, no further details to the investigation other than they're cooperating and releasing whatever information they have on the people they've picked up for these things. Joe Biden gets in the news and gets a jab from Donald Trump. In the, I basically it was a scrum from earlier in the day after he was signing executive orders and just doing some chit-chat, yik-yakking, going back and forth. The news for him was broken, but it was broken earlier for us, as we'll let you folks know that Biden joined Hollywood's biggest agency. So he is hanging out with Ariana Grande and Brad Pitt, or at least in theory. Joe Biden is now a member of the Creative Artists Agency, the prominent Hollywood talent firm representing celebrities like Brad Pitt, Ariana Grande, folks like that. The partnership marks a significant step in Biden's post-presidential career. No longer will he have to be a crime boss and try to run the government in the shadows. He's now going to do, Hollywood stuff. The last thing he actually produced was a memoir called "Promise Me, Dad" in 2017, and he's on embark on a new book called American Promise. Or at the time, he had a tour called American Promise. But basically, what they're going to do now, CA has got plans to take his long life of commitment to public service and use that to promote him, make a little money on the side. Some books, some tours. He'll do the Clinton things where the big speaking fees going back and forth, and somebody will take care of that one. Joe Biden will be taken very good care of in his senior years going forward. It just is what it is, and it was going to happen because so many people like him. Oh, by the way, CA also represents Secretary of State, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and President Barack Obama. So he's in good company, along with Brad Pitt and Ariana Grande. We'll take a quick break from the news. 4 stories down. 4 more to get to for the 8 stories this morning. We'll explain how these 8 got to be the topical stories we're talking about in a bit. But right now, we're going to ask you to help us out to grow our standing. We need more people queued up to see our stuff. So we need you to like the content we're creating, like the video if you're watching the video here, like the audio if it's a podcast you listen to on a podcast replay, like what we have going forward. And if you like it, the algorithm sees that it might be good and will share it with more folks who may check it out as well. If you like it, and I will see that you think it's good, and so I'll do more of that stuff there going forward and less of the stuff that you don't like so much. If you know people who enjoy getting the news like this, getting more stories that aren't quite covered in the beaten path, like I said, Donald Trump didn't hear about this till somebody yelled at him while I was walking away from his makeshift press conference on executive orders, where he said, "No, Biden's got probably worse things to worry about than his representation." That may be a clue. But share it with other folks who enjoy news and commentary and maybe even like my voice. Maybe. And they may maybe like it and share it with other folks as well. We need more people queued up for this stuff. Our gauge for how we do our numbers basically comes out of YouTube. YouTube, we're at 1,700 and so many viewers, so many subscribers, hoping to 1,800 within a couple weeks, 2 weeks or so. At the rate we grow, faster would be great. But if you share it with those folks, maybe they'll like it. And as I talk about YouTube and TikTok and Facebook and X and the podcast, and of course our email newsletter, subscribe to the format that is best towards you. If you just want the news links, news articles, we send it to you in a separate email after we do the recording of this one, so you can get that there. Not my face, not my voice, not my humor, none of that. You can also get it in the audio format via various podcatchers, wherever your pods are cat. And of course, YouTube, X, and Facebook allows you this program and clips on TikTok and YouTube as well. Check it all out. Subscribe to the best place to get to the stuff, and keep being a news nerd because we need you guys around. The wrath of Kang may actually still be a wrath worthy of considering, as Marvel Studios is considering a return of Jonathan Majors, the return of the Kang, if you will. Recent reports suggest that Jonathan Majors is maybe coming back with the Kang the Conqueror character for the MCU. The consideration comes as Majors was previously dismissed for the role doing legal stuff. Now that legal stuff is mostly cleared, although he's not mostly cleared, but the legal stuff is mostly done, they're going to possibly bring him back in some way. Now, initially he was big bad for this phase of MCU. When he got shifted away because of the big bad stuff he did in the real world, they decided to bring in Dr. Doom, i.e. Robert Downey Jr., who, of course, is now the new villain in the forthcoming Avengers Doomsday. They've named it for that. Even though he was Robert Downey Jr., the hero Iron Man, who originally started the whole Marvel MCU sort of thing going forward. But there are ways to sneak Majors back into the arc. Of course, there's a really big play that was made at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is the opening for Kang coming in there. And they sort of killed it by divesting him out of the Loki series after it was done to change those lineups and change how the multiverse and things work out for going forward. But he's a character. It's a good character people want to use. They've got people invested in it, and they may be able to scrap something out of what they did to make some lemonade from some lemons from the whole Jonathan Majors Kang saga. We shall see. Now that the big Avengers won't be the Kang saga, it will be Doomsday leading into Secret Wars. Bit of shift what's going on, how they're going to do it. There are comic related issues, ways to do both storylines. How do you do both storylines in the movies now? We'll just have to find out. And are we still paying for MCU movies? Are we still caring that much about the way these movies work? We're just going to have to find out. Drama, intrigue, scandal. Netflix shocks fans with controversial Little Rock on the Prairie announcement. So, why is there a picture of Megyn Kelly up there next to Melissa Gilbert, Laura Ingalls Wilder? Well, let's go deep into the story. Netflix announced a reboot of the classic television series Little House on the Prairie, and it's 40 years after the original series concluded in 1983. As a child born in the early 70s and living through the 80s, trust me, Little House on the Prairie and Laura Ingalls Wilder, life with Melissa Gilbert was something that was big in our house back in the 3 network days. The new adaptation aims to offer a fresh perspective on the Wilder family and the semi-autobiographical books that she wrote back in the day, blending family drama, survival narrative, and the original story of the American West. It's less of the work of, firm family values and how Paul was great to everybody, but more of, I don't know, Yellowstone, I guess. The work will be done by Rebecca Schonenheim, who worked on The Boys and The Vampire Diaries. She'll be the executive producer and showrunner to make this thing work out. Now, the reaction, because it's going to be, a scandalous Little House on Prairie, has been mixed, as you can think. Well, a lot of that mix being rage. One of our big rage fans is Megyn Kelly, listed as a media personality and so much more, expressing concerns that the reboot might incorporate contemporary society and political themes, potentially altering the original faith-based and wholesome narrative. Now, faith-based wholesome narrative was how it was progressed and shown on TV. The books were just, here is life on the prairie. Here's life on the farm. The books are just books. It was played that way because that's the way TV was done. And, Michael Landon is awesome. Michael Landon is awesome. Kelly warns that the wokeification of the series could reflect the apprehension among some viewers about significant changes to beloved classic. In response, Melissa Gilbert, who portrayed Laura Ingalls in the original series, highlighted that the show historically altered various progressive topics anyway, including racism, addiction, and misogyny. You may remember shows that have black children playing with the white children. The one that Picture had specifically about the little girl who had one leg that was different, that was too short, and they made special shoes for her so she could play with everybody. And then they all went swimming, so that her disability would be shown there, and showing how immigrants, one very, very special episode where immigrant came to America, was happy to be here, then found out he owed a whole bunch of money in taxes. And yeah, there's the one where they bought the spices to sell to buy the priest a new Bible because the kids want to do something, realize that multi-level marketing doesn't work out. Yeah, because it was the 70s. And it was books based on life in the 1870s. So it was a bit progressive for its time, but the family values was what held it together. Megyn Kelly getting some club. Yeah. Little House on the Prairie is coming back. Like it or not, it's coming back. Watch it, then complain about it. Let's see how that works out. Roger Goodell has done his pre-game interview for the NFL for the Super Bowl. LIX 59, if you're nasty. Roger Goodell talked about DEI, the officiating, and the 18-game schedule possibly coming up for everybody in the future. These are big topics. Goodell is leaning in on DEI. He had a quote on that saying, "We got into diversity efforts because we felt it was a right thing for National Football League. And we're going to continue those efforts because we've not only convinced ourselves, I think we've proven to ourselves that it does make the NFL better." DEI is a bit spicy for sports league and for the NFL itself, where some of these leagues are predominantly, the people playing are mostly black, if you will. Mostly black. But some of the players that are seen in the spots that are more thought-provoking, the more cerebral, like the quarterbacks, are generally white. That has changed in time as the game has changed, and the type of player, without getting too into the weeds, has changed, how different types of play goes forth. But DEI is something really big. In fact, the push to get more minorities into all ranks, the coaching ranks, the players are there, the coaching ranks, the ownership ranks, the actual workings of the things. It's something, because if all these black guys can play football, why can't they own a team or coach the league or be in the front office? It only makes sense. Now, officiating has been addressed because the Kansas City Chiefs, who are still, I guess, the top favorite by a couple points in this weekend's matchup, got a lot of calls. got a lot of calls. They are known as the luckiest, almost undefeated team of the season, losing only one game. Well, actually lost 2 games. Lost the last game of the season because literally nobody showed up. It was there. But essentially, all the calls went Kansas City's ways to suggest it might be, a fix. They're trying to get that third three-peat win for the Chiefs, get that win for Andy Dalton, and get that win for Andy Dalton. Oh, I don't know where that came from. Get that win for Patrick Mahomes. Get the love scene where there's proposal on the field for Kelsey and Taylor. Probably not happening, but you get what we got going on. Andy Reid, get the right Andy in there. Andy Dalton, total other discussion. Talk about that. Talk about the men and women that make up the officiating team and say they're outstanding. They'll do great. This game will be fine. Don't worry about it. And he was questioned about the 18-game season, possibly expand 18 games. They're going to see what's going to happen. And with an 18-game expansion, there's also talk about expanding to more teams and expanding to permanent teams or permanent stations of teams overseas, Mexico and maybe Canada, if we don't, mess that up with trade deals. And of course, NFL Europe, a European team, a real team to live in Europe full time to play those 18 games overseas. He says, maybe. It's always a maybe because it's always about money and cash and make it work. If you can't make it work, then they're not going to put money into it. If they can put money into it and see what happens, but they don't think it's going to make money pretty quickly, they're not going to try it. But the big game happening this weekend, this Sunday, has the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles in New Orleans on Super Bowl Sunday. Check your local listings. I believe it's covered on Fox, which means if it's on Fox, that means Tom Brady's on the call and that other guy who's been doing it longer than Tom Brady. Speaking of Fox, let's go to the Fox News. It's all a big conglomerate. It's all business branding. So it doesn't really mean anything having the brand of Fox other than Fox News, owned by News Corp, owned by Rupert Murdoch, I think, maybe his son's owned or whatever. But here's big deals. Cable is dying. Cable news is dying. The whole thing is dying, except for Fox News, who are dominating the ratings in cable, and they're also making the switch to big time work in YouTube. Coming out in this January, they released a report about the record-breaking viewership from Fox News Channel. It's actually has a pretty big lead in cable, pretty much. The network averages 2.8 million primetime viewers, a 40% increase from last year. The surge not only outpaced competitors, but also represents the highest rated January in cable news history. They're getting bigger, and there's reasons behind that. We'll get that in a second. But beyond traditional news, Fox News is actually expanding its digital footprint and doing very well on the YouTubes, if you will. Network concluded a year with an average of 2.4 million primetime viewers going forward, and in YouTube views, 410 million video views in January. More that's double what NBC News got going forward. So they're doing well. Now, the growth of cable is sort of a backhanded compliment because cable is dying, and what's happening is more people who are sticking to the cable channel, so older people, and they're tending to go more towards Fox News because it's skewed that way. Maybe it's conservatism, maybe it's just they know what their audience is and know how to pull them in there. But the audience is getting larger in comparison because other audiences are getting smaller. The outlets are getting more tighter and less engaged, and Fox News knows what it needs to do to magic make it work. Fox News, give it its props, give it its flowers. Fox News doing great in being engaging for cable platforms and some digital television as well. But you have to talk about the elephants in the room is that the actual audiences are not expanding. They're just all getting more grayer, and the others channels are essentially losing their market shares, which makes their big jump looks a bit bigger. Not trying to poo-poo anything, but it is what it is. Fox News's growth looks greater because other people are shrinking. Now, we have done all the news. Let's talk about the actual news that's coming forward. This is the part we call the teaser section. When we talk about a story, we are teasing to go forward. And that's just one story that's lined up, queued up, ready to go for you to engage in going forward. And your engagement gave us the stories we had today. We had 8 news stories, and we had about 30 stories posted throughout the day, about every 50 minutes or so, on our feeds on Facebook and X, our pages on Facebook and X, facebook.com/This is Conversation Project, and x.com/th_conversation. What we do So every 50 minutes or so, we have a news article that gets posted from various different news sources. So you get perspective from different places, some perspectives and stories you probably wouldn't see because everything's all Trump and airplanes and things like that these days. Oh, and the drones. The drones are back as well. And people getting fired, which is what today's teaser story is. The CIA, or the CIA is sending a buyout offer to its entire workforce. Just like a big buyout offer, and it's really this misnomer to call it buyout, which is probably why it's in quotes on the thing. But the federal government, it keeps giving these buyouts, keeps giving people a chance to get out of their contracts with some severance, some money, if you will, maybe work, maybe not work, and just go away with the threat overhead of getting people out. This is a big corporate move, but they don't offer these up to everybody. They're not doing it to everybody. In various cases, they didn't offer up buyouts to FAA people and safety people, stuff like that. Those buyouts were rescinded pretty quickly, and we kind of know why. The CIA is offering a buyout to pretty much every person on the floor, every officer with boots on the ground, everybody sitting behind a desk, everybody at a computer is getting a chance for a buyout, allegedly. Literally eliminated the CIA off the bat. Now, this is to get the people out that will not align with Donald Trump and put people in that will, but overpaying people to get out of the way, we'll see how that works out. We're not talking about, or we did not talk about today, the story on Rubio and El Salvador and them actually saying, we can house some of your prisoners, your detainees, your Americans that are very, very bad. We can do that. That didn't make the cut, mostly because we got wrapped up with, Trump saying we're going to buy Gaza and put up hotels and golf courses. Didn't actually say that. I'm embellishing on that one, but it's pretty much where we're going. If the world's going to make it the Riviera of the world, you got to have a golf course. You got to have hotels. But we may be talking about the CIA and this buyout adding to the other issues for people in employment going forward. And it's up to you. Do we talk about this? Go to our feeds on Facebook and X. And when you see a story that you think we should engage in it. Like it, love it, hate it, share it, do what you can to show me that you care or you just are really angry at it. And in the morning, I'll pull stories from midnight this morning to about 4 a.m., 3:30, 4 a.m. To tomorrow morning. And we'll look at the stories. We'll sift them through, see which stories are at the top of the list, top half, 15 or 16, and pull from those 8 stories to present for you here for Thursday. That's how it works. Every single weekday for you. Monday is a little different because we take 90 stories and pull 30 of those to get 10 for that day. Everything else, all the same. That's how we got Little House on the Prairie and the beef between Megyn Kelly and Melissa Gilbert, because they got a beef. You just got to beef. We got to take a moment to talk about our sponsors, and it's the perfect time to get into our sponsor because chess is a lovely game. Nothing says love like a good castling, if you will. And so to get in on the mood and get in on the groove and get in on great sales, the Chess Store is offering up 25% off many of their items this holiday season. The February month of love is a month of loving its customers to get great chess sets. So if you've been looking for that great reason to get a new chess set, other than the fact that you love chess, how about getting it for a great discount? 25% off chess sets, chess pieces, chess accessories. They have you covered. If you are into chess, they got you covered. If you're not into chess, they'll get you covered. If you are just chess curious, check them out and see what's out there. They may be able to pull you over there. But right now, there's a great deal for Valentine's Day, Valentine's month of love. Get people who love chess to upgrade some of their sets. And these are sets that are beautiful design sets, lovely sets. And even the things that are travel sets, the plastic sets that you take along with you, they're not cheap. They're not cheap looking. They'll allow you to pull out a chess set in a lounge, in an airport, at a Starbucks, and people say, wow, that's a beautiful chess set. I wonder where he got it. And you can say, the Chess Store. When you say that, also tell them you use our affiliate link because you like us, and not just go to the Chess Store. Because while you get those same great deals going forward, we get a small commission for you stepping in, and it costs you nothing extra. They don't take, it's not 23% off because you showed up via our link. It's a full 25% off. They take it off their portion of the sale. Visit the Chess Store at this is a conversationproject.com/the Chess Store. This is a conversationproject.com/the Chess Store, and get yourself some great deals on great chess stuff today. Affiliate link, so we get a small commission, but Visit them. They'll take good care of you as they take care of us with a little bit from you stepping in the door. Quick stop to talk about the Conversation Project. We live online at this is theconversationproject.com, and we want to make sure you know what we do going forward. So stop by our website, learn, grow, do. We have lots of calls to action, lots of things you can do at the website, including find out more about us with our origin story, look at past episodes we've had out there online, and visit more sponsors and consider being a partner. Consider being a partner. In the meantime, stop by the website so you can find links to all the things we do and all the places we are. So if you're not following us in a place that's best for you, if you're seeing this on YouTube just all of a sudden, but you're really a TikTok person, we have links to the TikTok page as well. We have links to our newsletter, our email newsletter, so you can get just the links, just the actual stuff that's important, and not hear me yak about it or see my face, if that's what you're looking for, or I should say not looking for. Stop by our website, show us a little love, and see more stuff about us going forward. With that, we are wrapped. We are done. We are all finished for this Wednesday, February the 5th, 2025. I am Jay Cleveland Payne. I thank you so much for joining us for things you might have heard. I also thank you so much for joining us for the week that is a whole lot of glitches, a whole lot of touches, things going on. Assuming that this thing's gone 31 minutes and you've heard me talk for a bit, we have audio, we have sound. We'll be able to cut this up going forward. We were blessed with all the good fortunes of past contributions from our partners, from our wares, from our sponsors, from some of our newly coming in income coming in forward, and from some one-time donations from folks to get some new gear and make things upgradable. So some things will look good, hopefully better, look different, definitely. And as there are some growing pains and figuring out why this thing plugged up here doesn't work as well as it did plugged up over there, we'll get through it. I'm a one-man show with a couple of guys to help out. We're looking for more contributions so we can actually hire more help, get more people doing this more often, more people to know what they're doing and not just me fumbling around. So we thank you for all you've given us, including especially your attention. Follow us in the feeds, engage in the news stories, email me at the conversation inbox at gmail.com with your comments. Consider being a partner and checking out sponsors, and be with us for tomorrow's edition where we talk about the Wednesday news on Thursday, whenever you watch it, early morning, whatever, for things you might not have heard.